here for years, like I said. You can't stop now.
Oh, thanks a lot.
If you say and recognize it, 1, 2,
You all right?
3.
No, of course. Thank you.
You're gonna get 4, 5 if you don't.
No one to pull
Alright,
five,
but
but that's
listen,
it.
how you do that is don't say you're not because you said it. And you say you're not.
Yeah, that's what I did it. I accept.
Okay. Alright, what's up?
Yeah,
This is the problem.
Are we out of coffee?
Oh, no? Are we up? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
How long does it take through?
I got it from here. Well, it's gonna take another thing. You wanna do something?
Why did somebody, who else?
You just.
Oh, I don't know. I don't drink it.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Yeah.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Stairways group of Alcoholics Anonymous. Let's open up the meeting with a moment of silence followed by the Serenity Prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Welcome, everyone, to the Stairways group of Alcoholics Anonymous. My name is Marilyn. I'm an alcoholic. Hi. This is an open meeting of Alcoholics Anonymous, meaning and everyone is welcomed at this meeting. We believe that the spiritual principles that you learn in these meetings are open for all men to get a closer relationship with the God of their understanding. So we don't believe that meetings should be excluded to anyone, because everyone can find the help here. So anyway, this particular meeting is a big book meeting, and we believe that all the answers to all your problems can be found in the big book. It's a book of history. This is not a book of theory. It's not a textbook, but it's a history book talking about what the first 100 did. And we believe that if you do, or the book implies that if you do what they did, you'll get what they got. And so you read this book for 2 reasons. One, so that you can relate, to tell yourself whether or not you are an alcoholic, because you are the only one that can determine that. Other people cannot tell you you're an alcoholic. That's something that has to come from within. And we believe that if you read this book, you'll be able to relate and then determine whether or not you're an alcoholic. That if you do determine that you are an alcoholic from within, then this book is designed to give you hope. Because you see the plight that these people were in that were alcoholics, and you see what they did, and you see where they're at now. And also, we study this book specifically. This book tells us that if we do precisely how to recover is determined in this book. In other words, if we do exactly what they did, we'll get exactly the same results. Our problems were that we were getting the same results out there drinking. And the reason why is because we kept putting the same equations. It was the same story all the time. We did the same thing and we got the same results. Insanity is thinking you can do the same thing and get different results, but you can't. So what we learn is how to get different results by putting different things in the equation.
Sorry,
Yes, go ahead.
You remind me of a whole phrase I had out there.
Mm-hmm.
It says, I was trying to go uptown on the downtown bus.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Taking the downtown bus, I want to go uptown. How can I go uptown? That bus goes downtown.
That's
So
exactly
I gotta
right.
come off the bus, go across the street, and catch the bus going uptown.
Right, right. So our problem was that we kept thinking that someday, somehow, as it says in the book, we were going to be able to control this drinking. That someday we were going to be able to drink like normal people and our lives would be miraculously normal. However, we weren't doing anything to change our lives, and it was a hope. We have found that if we continue to do what we did, we're always going to get what we got. So what we like to find out in this meeting is to try to find out what didn't work and stop doing it, and then find out what will work and start doing it. So put some new numbers in the equation. If we put new numbers in the equation, we're going to get a different number at the end. Because 2 plus 3 is always going to 5. So then we try 3 plus 2. Well, that's going to be 5 too. But if we put in 3 plus 4, we're going to get 7 every time. So if we learn different numbers to put into our lives, we're going to get a different equation at the end. So this is what we're learning, why we learn this book, so we can have a successful life. And not only with the alcohol problem, because when we first come in this program, we think that that's our only problem is alcohol. What we learn through this book is that's just a symptom of the problem. Our problems are very deep-seated, based on selfishness and resentment, and the underlying thing throughout all our lives that's causing our problems is our fear. And through this book, we learn faith. Faith is the opposite of fear, and we start to live a new life. So, let me read the preamble to Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other, that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting for our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy. Neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. Now we're going to do some teaching through the book today, but feel free to make any have any questions or comments throughout the teaching today are welcome. Let's just make sure that any comments or questions we have relates to the big book, like other things about the book, other things about the solution. Because we at the Stairways group believe that there's far too many meetings that are based on, does anybody have a problem? And people raise their hands, and then everybody gives their opinion. This is not Problems Anonymous. These meetings should be about the solution, not about problems. Because if you learn the solution, you're going to learn how to solve all your problems. The book tells us that if we learn the principles in this book, then we're going to learn to solve all our problems. So we shouldn't be talking about the problems, we should be talking about the solution. We like to smash a lot of myths in this meeting that you hear in meetings. One of the myths we like to smash, you always hear people say, don't drink and go to meetings. Don't drink and go to meetings. As if that's the mantra of these meetings. Well, if we knew how to not drink, what would we need the meetings for? So, if you want a simple mantra like that, it shouldn't be don't drink and go to meetings. It should be find God. Find God. If you want to simplify this whole book into 2 words, or into a small little catchphrase like that, then make that the catchphrase. Find God. Because finding God is going to be the thing that's going to solve all of our problems, not just our problem of drink. So, and unless we find God, we can't stay sober. So, and don't let that scare you. If the word God scares you, it's not, I'm not here to preach. I'm not going to tell you what God to believe in. It's going to be a God of your own understanding. But that God you need to connect with in order to get the power to stay sober. And this book will teach you how to connect. Okay. So today we're going to start with how it works. Normally in this meeting we read how it works. But because we're actually teaching on that today, we're not going to read how it works. We're just going to go right into the teaching. Now, it's really important that you always bring your big book to every meeting, especially when they do read how it works. These 3 pages that we always read before meetings, or you read or most meetings, have the entire program outlined. And so bringing your book to a meeting and reading along when somebody reads how it works, it's very good because it'll get you focused on the meeting. It'll also get you thinking about the important thing, which is the steps, and it'll be a good example to others that you have a book, because like I said, in most other meetings they talk about problems and then everybody gives their opinion. In this book, it talks about the solution, so you'll always have the solution with you. In case you get called on, you can say something to help others. So anyway, let's start.
She's gonna volunteer to me.
No, don't.
What's that?
I thought you wanted the glass.
No.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, we're gonna discuss.
Yeah, we're not going
Oh,
to read it.
I'm sorry.
I was just saying we're not going to read it because
Oh.
since we're teaching on it tonight, we don't have to
Okay.
read it. Yeah.
Oh, and this is being recorded, so if you want your anonymity, you don't give your name.
The baskets. Thanks. Yes, thank you. Yeah, exactly. So feel free to comment or questions, but let's keep it on the subject, either on these pages or other pages that relate to these pages. Okay. All right. Now let's. I'll start with page 58. How it works. Let me start with it's rarely, and some say that is the one word that Bill Wilson would have changed in the big book, and he would have changed it to never. So anyway, rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. And the word path was actually the word directions in the original manuscript. And I think that Bill's going to be teaching on this next week, so we're going to have a repeat performance of this. Again, if you follow these directions, you'll get what they got. So those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to the symbol program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. Now, notice the word honest. About 4 lines down, you'll see that it ends with honest, and the last word of this paragraph is honest. So, in the book, the things that are really important, that they really are trying to stress, they're going to stress in a couple of ways. One, they're either going to make them in italics, which in the original manuscript was in bold or underlined to say that this is really important. And another feature of the big book is when they really want to stress something, they repeat it over and over and over again. And we alcoholics, we need repetition because we have wonderful, marvelous forgetters, and we have to hear it in a million different ways in order to believe it. So this is the first of the 3 honest just in this paragraph, so it's very important. There are such unfortunates. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. Their chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. And one of the things that Bill always talks about is the big words in this big book. And one of the big words in the big book is that little word there, right there, if. In other words, the promises that we get in this book are contingent on we doing something else. Usually the promises are contingent on us doing the steps. And so that little words if and are very important. And so those are the big words in the big book. And if you're honest. Okay, so that's a big if. Now, our stories disclose in a general way, which means read the book. Because you're not going to get to the stories unless you read the book. Our stories, meaning the first 100, remember this is a book of history, disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have, and what they mean by what we have in this particular sense is God's power. because in step 1 it says we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, and so they had no power, and then at the end they had power. So what we have means God's power. And, there's that big word again, are willing to go to any length to get it. Then you are ready to take certain steps. And in the original manuscript, it said follow directions. So in the original manuscript, 2 times directions was put in here, which obviously is different than suggestions that people want to call it today. Yes, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to comment on that because I used to travel a lot, and a lot of times I would be trying to find a place in a new city, and I couldn't find it. And I'd be driving around, and then finally I would pull in somewhere and ask directions, and I would write it down specifically. Turn right on 2nd Street, take a left on 5th Avenue, all that, specifically. And then I would follow it to the letter because I wanted to get where I was going. And that's what the steps in the book are. They're the directions to your destination, which is recovery. And you got to follow them to the letter. If I had been lost for an hour trying to find someplace and the guy gave me directions, specific directions, and I would start trying to take shortcuts and everything else, it didn't work. I'll be right back so I followed the directions to the letter. And think, by the grace of God, I finally had that insight, and I realized the steps were just something, they were directions that I had to follow to the letter, and I did it, and that's why I'm here now, going on my 3rd year in recovery. So thank you.
Very, very good point. Excellent.
May I add to that, Jerry?
Yes, of course.
Forever for me, with the complexity of my emotions and my natural instinct and a compulsive obsession of the mind and body. I am Buffalo Soldier coming from Jamaica to capture America. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna get me. And who do you think you're talking to? And trying so much time to recover, trying so much time to recover, and this thing whipping me, I said, you can't tell me how to do this. You know what I'm saying? And for me, this disease was so deceptive. You understand? It prevented me from finding the answer by helping me trying to put me to believe in myself. When myself tried so much time and couldn't do it. And I'll just end with this. But I think it's in the other thing when it says, which one of us, if we weren't whipped or beaten over a period of time by this addiction, would have just get up one day and say, oh, I'm going to AA and submit my life to the 12 principles? I would.
Well, it says that right on page 43.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
On 43, first full paragraph, second to last sentence, it says that most alcoholics have to be pretty badly mangled before they really commence to solve their problems. And at the bottom of page 42, how did they solve their problems? Quite as important was the discovery that spiritual principles would solve all my problems. And the beautiful thing that he says is, I have since been brought into a way of living infinitely more satisfying and I hope more useful than the life I lived before. My old manner of life was by no means a bad one, but I would exchange its best moments for the worst I have now. I would not go back even if I could. So,
You want to announce
it's-
the basket?
oh, sure.
Just announce that we're passing.
Well, okay, go ahead.
No, you do it. I'm just reminding you. We're gonna.
Yeah, I will. Okay. All right.
Wait till the end.
All right, no problem. There are no dues or fees for a membership, but we're self-supporting through our own contributions, so we're going to pass the baskets. Okay. So anyway, if you look at the bottom, the middle of paragraph 40, on page 43, the next paragraph, it says, as To two of you men whose stories I have heard, there is no doubt in my mind that you were 100% hopeless apart from divine help. And then the last paragraph, I have profound respect for the spiritual approach in such cases as yours. For most cases, there is virtually no other solution. So this talks about that we have to be mangled, but our only hope is the spiritual solution, and this is what we're going to outline. Now, let's go to page 42 again, one more thing, and then I'm going to go back to how it works. Second full paragraph down, it says, then they outline the spiritual answer and program of action, which 100 of them had followed successfully. And that's exactly what this book is. It's the 100, it's the spiritual answer, find God, and the program of action, do the steps. So this is what this book is all about. All right, now, at some of these we balk. We're back on page 58, third paragraph down. At some of these we balked. And I think that and they're talking about certain steps. At some of these we balk. Now, which are the steps that we're going to balk at? Certainly, step 9, nobody wants to make amends. Especially when you read step 9, because it tells you you have to make financial amends. So that means if you stole $1,000, you got to pay back $1,000, so nobody wants to do that one. But what other steps are we going to balk at? Steps 4 and 5. Who wants to look at the way that we've treated others and break it down and see all the ugliness of our past? Nobody. And then who wants to do step 5 and have to admit all this to another person? So I think these are the steps that they're particularly talking about when they say at some of these steps we balked. However, you can never have recovery without these steps. Because steps, specifically these steps, are going to identify the things that are blocking us from God and then prepare us to have them removed. Now, what are the things that are blocking us from God? Our character defects: selfishness, dishonesty, fear, anger, also guilt and remorse. These are the things that are blocking us from God. Our character defects and our guilt and remorse. And we have to identify the things that are blocking us from God, ask God to remove them so that we can have the power in the 12th step, so that we can stay sober. Now, we thought we could find an easier, softer way. So all of us think that they can find, do it different, not have to do all these things, that we're better than other people or worse than other people or just definitely not the same, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. And that means now. So many people want to tell you to wait to do the steps. That's one of the things that we like, another myth we like to smash in this meeting. Everybody wants to tell you, wait till you get some time. You know, come to meetings for a while. Just come to meetings for 6 months. Don't do the steps. You know, you're not ready to do the steps. And Jim B., who used to teach us meeting, he had 40 years of sobriety when he died. And he used to always say balderdash. Because if we're powerless when we come in the meeting to stay away from alcohol, then when should we do the steps in order to get the power to stay away from alcohol? Now. Immediately. So he would start people on the steps immediately. So that's what we believe in this. We believe that the only solution to our problems is in the steps. And so we have no other solution Going to meetings and sitting in meetings is not a solution to our problems. Doing the steps, hearing people, the reason we go to meetings is to hear about people doing the steps so that we can do the steps. But there's nothing about going to meetings in itself that's going to help us to stay sober. We have to find the things that are blocking us from God and have them removed. And going to meetings really doesn't do that. So it's important to go to meetings in order to do the steps, if that's what they're talking about. So now, with all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us, but there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. And in the original manuscript, it said, you must find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. And let's turn, when they talk about the turning point, let's turn to page 25 and see what they're talking about there. Okay, at the last paragraph it says, if you are as seriously alcoholic as we were, we believe there is no middle of the road solution, no half measures. We were in a position where life was becoming impossible, and if we had passed into the region from which there is no return through human aid, we had but two alternatives. One was to go on to the bitter end, blotting out the consciousness of our intolerable situation as best as we could. So keep on drinking and keep trying to cover it up with more drinking and suffer every consequence that there was with all that. Or to accept spiritual help. And these are the only choices that we have today, is to either keep drinking and keep having the miserable life that we have, or to accept spiritual help. And that's why when people talk about the choices that we have, we believe that these are the only choices that we have. One, keep muddling through suffering with our alcoholism, or accept spiritual help. It's one or the other. Okay, so we don't choose. People who say, I choose not to drink today, they don't really have that choice. You choose spiritual help today. God has all power, and you'll be able to stay sober because you chose spiritual help, but you don't have the choice to not drink, because we drink. If you're an alcoholic, you drink. And the only way to not drink is to accept the power of God to keep you from it. So those are our choices. Okay, now it says, we asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Asking is extremely important. Asking is the same thing as praying. Asking God for help. Let's turn to page 13 and look at asking. I have page 13 now. Let's see what I'm looking at. Oh, okay, here we go. The fourth paragraph down, we're going to read about how Bill asks. It starts with, I was to test my thinking by the new God consciousness within. Common sense would thus be uncommon sense. I was to sit quietly when in doubt, asking only for direction and strength to meet my problems as he would have me. Never was I to pray for myself, except at my request, bore on my usefulness to others. Then only might I expect to receive. but that would be in great measure. My friend promised when these things were done, I would enter upon a new relationship with my Creator, that I would have the elements of a way of living which would solve all my problems. Okay, so this is how we ask. We ask God to direct our thinking. Another one of the myths we like to smash in this meeting is people tell you, don't think. Like, don't make any decisions for the first year of sobriety. Don't think. The big book never tells you not to think, okay? And it never tells you not to make decisions. Everybody is constantly making decisions, so to tell people not to make decisions is crazy, because you were constantly making decisions when you were drinking. You made decisions today to come in here, even if it's your first day in the program. You're constantly making decisions, so it's not a matter of not making decisions. It's a matter of making decisions based on a new way of thinking. And what this book teaches us and what these steps teaches us is to think, base our decisions on what would God have me do, rather than what is best for me. We used to make decisions totally based on selfishness. How can I get things? How can I get more things? How can I take things from you? How can I hide things from you so you don't take them from me? Well, what's best for me? How can I use you to make my life better? Everything was based on selfish thinking. And that's how we made decisions. Today, this book teaches us that if we want to live life successfully, that we have to take self out of the decision-making process and think, what would God have me do today? How can I please God, or please God tell me what I should do today? And if you're praying for anything, how can I help others? If you want to do action, think about helping others. Think about what God would have me do and how can I be more helpful to others. And if you base your life on this new set of principles of asking God to help you and of how to help others, God will take care of all the stuff that you used to worry about. And He will do it in more abundance than you could have ever weaseled around and slapped together on your own. He will make sure that not only you are taken care of, but that others are taken care of at the same time. And your life will be more fulfilled. So it's not a matter of not making decisions, but of making different decisions.
Yeah. One of the myths, too, that I've heard is relationships. And they, of course, emotional and opposite sex relationships can be a hazard. However, it wasn't specified that I should seek to establish a relationship with my higher power, because that's who is really keeping me sober, and the crunch day is gonna come as sure as the sun is gonna shine tomorrow. That He's the one who's gonna help me in that critical time when nobody else, nobody but me and Him is around. Gonna keep me from a drink or a drug. You know, and this happened, and it's happening, and God will tell you, man, fine to have a sponsor. But I called the sponsor said, leave a message. You know, if it's 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, you know, out of wherever, you know, and do I turn right or do I turn left? And it's only God. Only God. Keep me on that straight and narrow, you know.
Right.
I just thank you for the acknowledgement of showing me that, man, because it's not me.
Right.
Form a relationship with your higher power. How you do that? Read and pray. Read. Oh, I did it. Read the book, 2 books. This book and the bigger book. This, and pray. Sooner or later. Is that God or is it God? I think it's God. Happen right before your very eyes. Let me share.
Yes, the book talks a lot about asking, praying, asking, and it also talks about meditation, which is listening. And so yes, we're supposed to ask God for direction and then listen usually God talks to you in a small, still voice within. Sometimes he talks to you through others. Sometimes he talks to you through the book. Sometimes he talks to you through songs. There's a lot of ways that God talks to you. But you have to keep your ears open to listen. And then another step to the equation is doing what he says, obeying, doing God's will, doing what he tells you to do. So, it's really important. And that's what's so great about these particular steps is they're steps of action. It's not just steps of theory or feeling good or like, oh, I used to, I was a born-again Christian way before I was sober. And I used to always think that was enough. Like, oh, I'm forgiven. Like, I hurt you? Oh, too bad, I'm forgiven. And I couldn't stay sober because that was my distorted thinking. And what the big book tells me is if I want to stay sober, I have to make amends to the people I hurt. So I heard you, I stole $1,000. I can't say, oh God, forgive me, I stole $1,000. I got to give you $1,000 if I stole $1,000 from you. I have to make amends. I have to restore right relationships through the action of these steps. So this book is not a book of dogma. It's not just knowing God, but it's doing what God says. And that was my distortion before when I was just religious. Now, I still believe in the same God, and I still believe that the same God gave me the power, so it's not that my beliefs are any different. It's just that the way that I approach God is in a different fashion today. Because I used to go to God, and I used to tell him what I was going to do because I would claim things. And it all fell apart. I had 14 years of sobriety. When I first came in the program, I got 14 years of sobriety, and my dad got sick. And my father was the light of my life. And, I had thought, I'm never going to get, 14 years is a long time. I'm never going to drink again. There's no way I'm going to drink again. And my father was sick, and I kept going to the hospital and kept claiming healing on him, like, you're going to get healed. And he was dying. And I just kept finding verses from the big book and just saying, you're going to get well, you're going to get well. And, he was dying. And so then when he died, I just felt so disconnected from God that I just drank again. But it wasn't God's fault, it was my fault. So then when I came back to the program, I realized that the way to pray is not telling God what to do, especially using his own words against him, telling him what to do. But that I would pray, thy will be done. And not that his will be done, because his will is going to be done whether I pray it or not, but that I can align my spirit into his will. And that's why I pray thy will be done, so that I can accept the things that are going to happen because God's going to be God. And then I can be a constructive part of that process. If I would have been less demanding at that part, I might have had my mind open and been more helpful to my father in his last days rather than trying to buck the system here. So I just wanted to say that from in my own experience, that it wasn't until I started doing these books that I could truly connect with that God that I knew through dogma and through teaching, but through the practical application of these steps, I couldn't truly connect with that God. So anyway, all right. With Ernest, back on page 58. As we digress. We thought we could find an easier, softer way. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil till we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, backling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us, but there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. We've read all of that already. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked. And in the original manuscript, it said, throw yourself under his protection and care with complete abandon. Now, and what are we abandoning? Self. We're abandoning self, trying to control self. That's what we're abandoning. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. So many people want to misinterpret what that word suggested means there, that they think that they could take them or leave them, that they could do the steps their own way. Oh, well, I'll do this program smorgasbord style. I'll take what I want and leave the rest. That's not what suggested means. Think of that suggested, if you want to get sober, more like if you're jumping out of an airplane, they suggest that you pull the cord on the parachute. It's like, you know, that's a suggestion. You know, if you want to live, if you don't want to splat in 2 seconds, then perhaps you should. It's the same thing here. It's a suggestion, but you will not have happiness or sobriety. You will not stay sober, or you'll not live a successful life if you don't do the steps. So it's the same kind of a must. So please don't misinterpret that word suggested. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. And realize there that it doesn't say are. Because if we do the steps in this program, and if God has all power and we bring it into our life, and we are, He is in our lives, and we have power over alcohol. If we don't take it, put it in our system, and we have God in our lives, we're not powerless over alcohol anymore. We have all the power of the universe keeping us from alcohol. But that's a big if. Once again, that little word if is in there. But anyhow, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol and our lives had become unmanageable. By the way, these steps were derived from the Oxford group. They are kind of the same, basically the same steps that they used. And let's look at those steps on page 292. No, 263, excuse me. The Oxford group steps. Because before Bill and Bob started this program, there was the Oxford group, which was a religious program where they taught you what God to believe in. And these were the steps that they used. Page 263, the 6 steps were complete deflation. Page 263, see the 6, 263?
What book you have? 3rd edition? Yeah. Then look at page over.
Oh, then if you have then look on page 292.
That's the 3rd edition.
Okay, look on page 292 then. Oh, 263, if you have the, I'm sorry.
263 is the 4th.
Yeah, you're right. Page 292 is the 3rd edition.
292?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, good. Okay, the 6 steps were complete deflation, dependence and guidance from a higher power, moral inventory, confession, restitution, and continued work with others. So you see how similar these steps are to ours. Complete deflation, knowing that we're powerless. Dependence and guide from a higher power. Moral inventory, step 4. Confession, step 5. Restitution, step 9. And continue work with other alcoholics, step 12. So these are what the Oxford group, our steps were based on.
But didn't have, the 6 steps didn't have the equivalent of our 10th step. Because the Oxford groups thought they were perfect, and they are, close to being perfect. So they didn't think they had to continue to take personal inventory and check their motives and their their character defects that keep cropping up.
Right.
So, so they didn't have. These are the exact same 12 steps stated in 6 steps, but minus the 10th step.
Exactly.
I can confuse it for you.
No, I appreciate, that's absolutely right. These steps take away our character defects entirely. However, what happens is life continues to threaten us, and new fears crop up. And that's something that the Oxford group didn't want to admit, was that they felt that once they connected with God, that they wouldn't need any more getting rid of character defects because they were all gone. Because God removed them all, which we believe too. However, we also know that life is going to continue to happen and new fears are going to come up. So we're going to have new character defects that come up. So we have to have a way to get rid of the new character defects that come up. And so that's exactly like he was saying, what steps 10 and 11 are all about, is taking a new inventory every day. You know, when people talk about doing the 4th step, like I do the 4th step every year or whatever, you'll hear that in meetings. If you do a proper 4th step, we believe you don't have to do a 4th step ever again. But what you do have to do is every day do a proper 10th and 11th step to take care of the new character defects that are cropping up in your life. So it's not a matter of going back and rehashing all that stuff that you did in the 4th step. That's not necessary if you do it properly. However, you do have to look every day at how you're getting along with the people that God's bringing in your life every day. And that's what the 10th and 11th step are. So, you know, if you've done a proper 4th step, you don't have to look and see what your mother did to you when you were 3 years old or what you did to her.
Yeah.
But you do have to look at how you got along with Debbie next to you at work today. And if you had a confrontation with her, you have to take care of that. And what the 10th and 11th steps are going to teach you is you're going to go to God and ask Him how to take care of that confrontation that came up. God will tell you either apologize, be nice to her tomorrow or something, but He'll tell you how to take care of the new character defects that are coming up. So that's why it was so important that we have the 10th and 11th step, because we are constantly having new conflicts with other people. And, well, maybe not as constantly if we're doing the steps properly, but things come up. All right, so here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. 1, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. And note the word could there. If God is all powerful, then He could. Now, the way that we know that God could is we see it in others. When we first come in the program, we see the work that He is doing in others, and we believe that He might do it for us. So, and if He's all powerful, He could restore us to sanity, and that's all we're admitting in that step. We believe that these first steps are a gift from God, to admit that you're powerless over alcohol. Sure, you read the book and you can relate, but to have your eyes opened and really believe that you're an alcoholic, we believe that that's a gift that God's put inside of you. Because all the rest of our lives we felt, I'm not an alcoholic, I have power over this. So something had to change our minds. And we can't change our own minds. We believe we were powerful, and we're certainly not going to take power away from ourselves. So it would have to be a divine intervention that actually tells us that we don't have that power anymore. And 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. that's got to be a gift from God too, that He opens our eyes to show us a different way of life. 3, we make a decision to turn our will and lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. And note that this is just a decision, and you'll often hear people say, there were 3 frogs on a log, 2 of them decided to jump off. How many frogs are on the log? 3, yeah, because they just made a decision. They didn't do it. And so all this is a decision. And the book tells us, and by the way, in the original manuscript, it said, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God, to the care and direction of God as we understood Him. So that's the 3rd time directions were in this original manuscript, and they took them out. So anyway, when we decide to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God, since we don't have the power, how are we going to do them? And we believe that we have to find the things that are blocking us from God and have God remove them, so then we can be connected with God. If we have no power and God has all power, then steps 4 through 11 are all about finding the things that are blocking us from God and asking God to remove them, so then we can have the power. So if you truly make a decision to turn your life over to the care of God, then you're also making a decision to find the things that are blocking you from God in order to connect with that God. And so that means you will immediately want to start on step 4. You're going to hear a lot of times in meetings where people say, I got stuck on step 3. I got stuck on step 3. You can't really get stuck on step 3, because if you really did step 3, you would immediately do step 4, because you'd want to remove the things that were blocking you from God. So you weren't really stuck on step 3, because you didn't really make that decision to turn your will and life over to God, or you would have continued on with the rest of the steps. So,
So it's
I don't
a
wanna-
decision to go on with the rest of the steps.
right,
Step 3 is the decision to go on.
exactly.
Yeah, God wants you to recover.
Right. And so step 4 is one of those steps that we balk at. It's to make a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. And the book tells us that nothing but thoroughness and honesty is important here. And we want to find the things that are blocking us from God. So you want to find the negative things in your life. So many times you hear about step 4, people talk about, look for your good stuff and your bad stuff. You have good things, you have bad things. The good things are not blocking you from God. And plus, if we're told look for the good things and the bad things, then we're going to find a lot more good things. We're going to focus on the good things, and we're probably going to take some of the bad things and rationalize and justify them and make them into good things, because who wants to look at the ugly things of our makeup? But the only way that you can do a productive 4th step is to look at the ugly things. So forget the good things when you're doing a 4th step, because you don't want to remove the good things. You want to find the bad things and have them removed. So that's why that's another myth that we like to smash here, is the 4th step has nothing to do with the good things in your spirit. It has to do with the things that are blocking you from God. And those are the dark crannies that they talk about in the big book. All right, here at the Stairways group, we like to mark your first year of sobriety with chips. Who would like to give out chips this evening? Okay, sure. Want to come up? Okay. Go ahead.
What's your name?
I don't know what she said yet.
My name's Ralph.
Hi.
Well,
I'm an alcoholic.
I would
she said around South Florida, they give out chips to recognize first year sobriety. They got a white chip for surrender. Anybody want to pick up a white chip? Does it go 30 days, 90 days, 6 months?
Actually, we do 3 months and 6 months. So red, 3 months, 6 months.
Anybody want to pick up a chip for 3 months sobriety? 6 months? 9 months?
Yeah, 6 or 9.
Right.
9 months, anyone? I don't know about if you do the anniversary here.
Yes, the last week of the month.
Last week of the month, day of the anniversary, so I'm sure if you check with her, she'll tell you all about it.
Right.
Thank God for another day's sobriety.
Thank you very much.
It's my first time at this meeting.
Hey,
Oh, good. Well, welcome.
Come back next week
It-
too.
Is anybody else's first time at this meeting? I forgot to ask. Oh, okay, great. Would you like to introduce yourself?
It's the alcohol and Robert.
Hi, Robert. Welcome.
I came from the Spectrum and the House of Hope. I think I want this to be my home.
Oh, excellent.
Come
Thank
back
you.
next week.
Well, now we're going to show you today how you're going to be better for this group. You
Good.
want this to be his uncle.
Fabulous.
We'll tell him how to do it.
Yes.
I also
We
want
welcome.
you to be my sponsor.
All right. Look at that. That's good
We'll
stuff
talk
right
about that
there.
later, all right? All right.
It's a successful moment there. A new home group and a new sponsor. Congratulations.
Hey, somebody else?
Yes, and you.
My
Yes.
name's Vince. I'm an addict and alcoholic.
Hey, Vince. Welcome. We welcome everyone to the Stairways group, especially new people.
Been here already.
Thank you for coming.
Ever been to this
No?
group before?
Not to this group.
Oh, I see you outside.
I've been out.
In the big room. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
The Stairways group is always looking for new members. We believe that the truths that we like to share in this meeting, everybody should hear about. So we ask you to promote this meeting, and we're looking for members. We will give you a job let's see, the first Saturday of the month is our business meeting. So if you could come to the business meeting, and we'll find a job for you. So thanks for joining.
This
Okay,
meeting's
great.
online too. YouTube.
Okay, yeah, wonderful. Yeah, that's why he's taping it here. So, all right, great. I guess we'll close the meeting in our general way. Please come back. I really welcome everybody.
Let's give Marilyn a hand.
Oh, thank you.
Excellent narrator.
Okay.
Chair first.
Stretch out here. Okay. Let this circle represent the unity of our spirit, that we are people helping people to find the power of God. At the Stairways group, after we say the Lord's Prayer, after we say amen, we don't say anything. Our Father,
Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Amen.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Good. Good to see you. Good. There you go. You look good, Red. Oh, thank you so much for coming.
Come back.
Absolutely, it's a great meeting.
Oh, good, thank you. Good.
Around here?
Yeah, I live at the Irish House.
Good. Oh, okay.
It's okay.
Okay, good.
It's where I need to be right now
Yes,
for
of
God.
course.
All right, and then we'll drive here.
Yeah. You know what the important thing about the fourth step, the most important thing that Jim, the teacher, the guy that used to teach this meeting taught me was you gotta do it in this order. Let me show you. Thank you.
Yeah, I work today.
Yeah, he died. Oh, God. He died, 3 years ago.
No, don't have it, don't
And
have it.
actually, another guy broke this meeting. Oh, yes. but he was out of town, so he had to get away. So I did it when Jim got sick, and then,
All right, nice meeting you.
Okay.
oh, I think today, oh, did I sign the wrong one? Because I think today's the 17th, isn't it?
Today's the 17th?
Yeah, I think so.
No, that,
But the one-on-one club's even better because you get it for free.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I brought in a bunch of, oh, they just got swooshed up from the last meeting.
Yeah, right.
What's that?
I brought in a bunch of jeans and shirts that I couldn't fit anymore since my accident.
Yeah, I brought a bunch of my bigger clothes because I lost weight.
Yeah, I told Tracy last night, I said, I really am embarrassed when you wear that sweater. And she threw it out.
Oh, really? That red one?
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Why? What's wrong with it?
Just too big on her?
It's too big on her. She's like one of those old women that go around.
Somebody will appreciate that though. It's a nice
Yeah.
color.
Yeah, it's nice. Not for my wife. But
No.
somebody.
For some bigger lady that needs a sweater.
My wife's lost. My wife lost. She lost so much weight.
Really?
In the last year.
How'd she do it?
Exercise.
Oh, that's good. That's good to do it. Okay, now I gotta figure out where we were at since I'm doing this meeting.
I was thinking we had just started.
Oh yeah, we just stopped. We just ended this chapter, right? Good.
Ended for.
Oh, so we're doing how it works. Oh, I know Bill wanted to bring in the, he's got a, original, manuscript. And he did the meeting one time, it's really good on how it works. Because he, in
Well, I
fact,
got the manuscript on here.
in my notes, it's got, the things that were in the original manuscript. Like, for instance,
I have everything on here.
it says, then you are ready, instead of you are ready to take certain steps, it said, then you are ready to follow directions. I guess we can do, how it works 2 weeks in a row, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Usually, well, not usually, no, not usually. But sometimes it happens like that. When he
Yeah.
leaves, you leave, you know.
Yeah.
You lose track.
You know, got on my Bible.
Because I know you wanted to do that, so I'm wondering if I should do something else.
Well, it don't look like we're gonna have a lot of people today.
Yeah, right, what's the difference, right? They all knew I was doing the meeting, I guess.
They were talking about me, man. They were all talking
It's
about
me.
me.
It's all about
Why
me.
are you looking at me like that? And you know, this is why it's so good to have this program. When people share, you know, you were thinking the same thing. You said, damn.
Yeah, right,
I
we're
thought,
so similar.
It's not me alone. You know, I thought it was me and Rocco, you know, so self-centered thing, the whole world.
Hey, how you doing?
We're good. How you
Good, Ryan, good.
doing? Good. Still have a big book study.
Still have the big book study. Yeah.
I saw it on my computer a lot.
But of all the people I've ever met in this program, and, I've been in and out since 1982, nobody, I've never met anybody as crazy as my brother. He is definitely the craziest person I ever met here.
Okay. And
But
who's
he's
your brother?
bipolar.
Do I know him? I mean, is
No, he came here for a little while, maybe about 5 years ago. But he's bipolar too. And a couple of months ago, for 3 years, he was, bipolar is like manic depressive, they used to call it. And you go through different phases. You go through
Mood
just
swings.
being depressed, and then you go through manic phases. And I've never seen anybody as manic as him ever in these rooms. He does crazy things. He's just real loud and he picks fights with everybody and he's real obnoxious and real, his energy level is just really irritating and he's just really scary. Like, you know that kind of crazy guy that comes in this meeting all the time?
Yeah,
He makes him look normal.
That guy.
Yeah, he's like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
yeah. And just really disturbed. And so a couple of months ago, my brother had been like normal. He was in the depressed state for like 3 years. And just a couple of months ago, he snapped and we started going to the manic stage. And it was just at the same time that my mother was getting out of the hospital. She had a really bad operation and I needed help with her, taking care of her, and he was living with her. Well, he was living with her right when she got out of the rehab, and he's like sleeping on her floor and swearing and like staying out all night drinking constantly and stuff. And she was like, she couldn't eat, she couldn't sleep, and she was trying to recover. So I went to go look for him. I went to go look for him in the bar, like to try to tell him, hey, you gotta like help me here, take care of her. And they go, oh, we called the cops on him. So I went to another bar, and they go, oh, we called the cops on him. So I said, okay, forget this. I'm gonna get him Baker acted, like. So I went down to the courthouse and got the Marchand acting out after him and the Baker acting out after him. So then the first time he went into Bark, he escaped, and then they had a warrant out for him that he was a contempt of court. So then I finally talked him into going in there. I said, "Are you going to go to jail?" So he went in there for 3 days, and right when I was in there, I took him back, and I saw somebody that I know from here, and they were in there the whole time with him. They had a slip, and so they were in there, you know. They said that everybody in there was going like, whoa, like, I'm glad I'm not like him. It's bad when you go in the Bark and everybody's like, boy, am I glad I'm not like you, but for the grace of God, right? So he got out and he was all like, oh, I'm not like those people. Like he was all mad that I put him there and stuff because he thought he was above everybody.
Okay, now that he's he's gotten kind of straightened out.
No, so as soon as he got out, I told him, I said, I called the people at Bark and they said that I'd have to get another court order to get him to do 30 days. It's like you have to get the court order for the 3 days. You got to get enough. So I wrote him a note. I said, I'm going to get you this other court order. You need to be in treatment. So he was like, screw you, and he moved to Tampa. And 2 days after he moved to Tampa, this is the middle of December, he decided to move to Chicago. This is how, and he's been here for 10 years, like.
So who does he have in Chicago?
Nobody. So he goes to Chicago. As soon as he gets up there, he got arrested for DUI. As soon as he got up there.
So he was driving?
Yeah, he still had a car through all this. But it's like, oh my gosh, can you imagine moving to Chicago in the middle of December when you don't know nobody?
Yeah.
So now we got all these statements from his bank, $1,500 overdrawn with his bank. And here he's in jail in Chicago.
That was his account?
Yeah, his account.
He's going to have to pay his consequences.
And this is the first time he ever got in trouble, like all these years. He's 56 years old, and he's been going in and out of this bipolar all his life. And finally I decided I can't take it anymore. He's got to straighten out.
Okay.
But I'll tell you what, it didn't work. It's got to come from within.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter how bad you are.
Hi, dear. How are you?
I don't think I would have done it except for the fact that he was in my mother's house,
Right.
and I just couldn't let him be like that in front of her.
No.
He was her help.
You have to make a choice between him and your mother there.
I was trying to explain to him. I said, it's like I'm trying to get her well. So it's like a bucket. I'm putting things in it, and you're like the hole in the bottom of the bucket. The healing's coming out. Like I'm trying to get her well, and she can't sleep and can't eat because of you. Oh my God. But it really makes you grateful that you're sober when you see somebody like that.
And you might think that, and this is my thinking, you might think that you had to do that and you regret doing that and all that. But I found myself in circumstances when the ball was put in my court. We have to make a decision. And guess what? Because of the events that led up to that, gave me that responsibility and like confidence, providence, whatever you want to call it, knew I would make the right decision. You know what I mean? And like Jonah, you know the other big book? You know about the other big book?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Well, the other big book said, somebody tell Jonah. You ever hear the word Jonah before?
Yeah.
Jonah, go
The
to
whale?
Nineveh.
Yeah.
And Jonah said, I'm not going. And he took a plane, a ship,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they kicked him. Now, imagine your brother's situation.
Yeah, right. He was probably bipolar Jonah.
Look at it. I just said it. The whole thing,
escaped.
my computer just, and lined it up.
Yeah.
Of course.
So everybody's got to hit a bottom, you know, so.
Yeah. And you were part of the instrument.
Yeah.
Help him to reach there. And you know what? He's going to probably come back and come help you do some big books.
I hope so. He's going to have the best story I ever heard. I never saw anybody like him in my whole life. I never saw anything like it. James said I used to, like, when he was normal, I used to, like, talk about how he used to be and stuff, and James thought I was exaggerating. And then when he saw him,
Doesn't change it come out?
Yeah.
when he saw him change, you know, he was like, oh, man.
Press the button. Press the button.
Kind of medication.
He's not on any. He's never been on any. Because he likes being manic. He thinks he's dynamic. He thinks he's funny. He thinks he's the life of the party. When he loses his job and he gets fired, but he says, so what? That's how, I don't want to work when I'm like this, because I'm too
I didn't like that job anyway.
I'm too wonderful to work.
Who's that?
My brother. He thinks he's never been on medication for it because he likes being manic.
Oh.
He thinks he's dynamic. He thinks he's the life of the party.
Oh, grandiose.
Yeah.
Grandiose.
It's like, you know, when I read about Bill Wilson, I think he was bipolar. The way his grandiose was so grandiose.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're all a little bit like this, but Bill Wilson seemed like he had it a little exaggerated.
Is that Jim's over?
Right there.
This one? No. No, it's mine.
Hi.
Let's see, what's today? Today's the
Today is
17th?
17th?
17th.
17th or 18th, I'm not sure. I forgot.
7:30 Saturday.
Make it look like both.
17.
Okay, good. Yeah.
What's going on here?
Got an A meeting here.
Stairway.
You know what? You know what's funny about Jim's old books? He doesn't have notes in them. He
In a half hour?
remembered all this.
Second chance.
I remember one that he had.
We say shit.
Oh, that's right. It was all
tore up.
it was all tore up, but it didn't have notes in it.
He didn't write any notes.
What?
No,
He knew I read like at page 64.
it was in bad shape, but it wasn't like big from notes. It was Because I might have that in a box, his old book, but
I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
no
the
notes.
First time that you are.
In a box somewhere.
yeah, I have it at my old house, Joe's.
It's not rotting or anything, is it?
No.
Well,
Good.
the thing
Give
is,
it to me.
If you okay,
you
sure, I'll
have
give
to
it to
weigh
you.
down, so it
Yeah,
doesn't stop
because I don't think it's
Alcoholic.
I don't have a throne, I'm not crazy enough, but I mean,
No.
locked in there.
okay, no problem. I'll get it.
Ah,
Yeah, I think I have it in a box.
What happened, how they,
I would have,
What
but I don't think there's any notes.
yeah, how did you get the,
I'm just a little bit routine.
It's crazy. He remembered everything. He was a smart guy.
Absolutely.
I go to.
Yeah.
yeah.
Me, I got notes up the yin yang
Feel
here.
good and then police catch you.
But it was all from him, you know.
First DUI, 2000. Second DUI, and 2008.
I guess I'll do how it works. Bill can always do it again
Then I
next week.
just lost him. Actually, I lost
Yeah,
him.
yeah, I would definitely go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
Then,
Well, you just read,
not in a good turn, then I
that's
just,
how it works.
you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll listen to my notes and stuff, but
I second DUI.
Okay.
1 year probation, 1 year and suspended driver license.
Thank God you gotta get
And third DUI, 2008, same year, stipend. Then I just this thing, stop them.
How's it going?
All right, pretty good.
How's it going?
I can hear you, but how many do you like? One? Two?
First one is 2,000.
Okay, 2,000.
Then 6 months.
Did you straighten all that up?
Yeah, why?
It's okay.
Looks nice.
Just tell me how much do you like?
You should work at the Gap.
2,000.
I used to work in the Gap.
2008.
That's why they named it the Gap. because I worked there.
I didn't recognize you at first, you know.
Okay.
Grabs.
2,000.
Grabs
The
smells,
year number
sounds
2,000.
like crap. So they just
You got one.
all right.
All right, what?
2008.
2008, how
I'm
many?
in shop at the Grab.
Two. That's three. All right, that's it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I'm counting,
Where do I start?
the same church where,
If I'm counting, where do I start? Three?
I just want to wait till we're done with the coffee, I guess.
When I'm counting, I start at one.
I think
I think it's 2.